Thank you to our co-hosts, the Ministry of Planning and Investment, the Ministry of Science and Technology, and the National Innovation Center for making this happen. And of course, thank you to all of our honorary guests in attendance. As our office is headquartered in Singapore, I'm honored to be joining everyone virtually. This is a landmark event. Not only is it our second annual Vietnam Venture Summit, but we're holding this as a hybrid in-person and virtual event with over 1,000 delegates joining across multiple streaming platforms, 500 of them being investors from across Asia, across the US. They're very interested in what the next decade will look like in Vietnam and Southeast Asia. And I'm proud to say that we've doubled our attendance since last year. And this is amazing. When provided the constraints of COVID-19, our entrepreneurial spirit had us think outside the box and crack it wide open with this hybrid real world in-person event and virtual event. I first traveled through Vietnam over a decade ago with my wife, Christine. We found a rich culture from leafy green pho to sipping on coffee mixed with tea and watching scooters zip by. It was our friend back in San Francisco on this first trip who introduced us to some of the first generation of startup founders in Vietnam. This really turned me on to Vietnam and then on to Southeast Asia, and was the inspiration behind starting Golden Gate Ventures a decade ago. When we first conceived of the Vietnam Venture Summit last year, it was meant to be a smaller, cozy event between investors and founders. Along the way, we were fortunate enough to find tremendously valuable partners in the government, local investors, and community evangelists such as Nan Kim of 20 Tools. The Vietnam Venture Summit quickly established itself as the leading summit to showcase Vietnamese startups to investors across Asia. Last year, I kicked off the summit with 5 pillars of what makes Vietnam so strong: GDP growth, a young population, really strong tech talent thanks to all the STEM, science and technology education, a diaspora of over 4.5 million Vietnamese living overseas, and 5th was a strong female founder entrepreneurship population that is much higher in proportion than many countries around the globe. These pillars continue to hold true even under the 2020 pandemic. And some of these are assets. The diaspora in today's work from home environment has actually been an asset for work that has now gone global and across multiple countries. And it's the reason why my firm, Golden Gate Ventures, alongside dozens of other VCs, continue to be bullish on more investment in Vietnam. This pandemic has been different than the dot-com bubble of 2000, the global financial crisis in 2010, and I think the full economic fallout is still unknown. But countries like Vietnam have really avoided this. It's been impressive thanks to strong early policy and decision-making. As Southeast Asia becomes acclimatized to COVID-19, investors and startup founders are finding new ways to deal with this. And investors have not sat idly for the past year. We've been continuing to write checks and have been investing around the region. And we're already starting to see secondary effects from this pandemic. Beyond the obvious growth in logistics and e-commerce and now telemedicine, we're seeing rates of adoption grow in B2B SaaS tools as businesses go online, social commerce as people sell differently. And we spoke about that in one of our pre-panels last week. Vietnam is a bellwether for Southeast Asia economics post-pandemic. And I think around the globe, people should be looking at the decisions that were made and how the economy has rebounded. There's a lot of optimism surrounding Vietnam's long-term potential, and I'm very excited to be financing some of these opportunities. So to all the crazy entrepreneurs and attendants, we salute you and I support you. I don't want to take up any more time. We have a great mix of panelists coming up. Half here on stage, half dialing in from places like the US, Indonesia, and Singapore. We're going to hear from local Vietnamese startups, the chairman of VNG, vice chairman of Momo, the VP of Vietjet, very excited, and global industry leaders such as the CEO of SoftBank Ventures, a partner from Chiming, and the CEO of GoPay. I'm very much looking forward to this discussion on the startup ecosystem in Vietnam across Southeast Asia. Come on.